Good evening. I'm a big fan of Al's. Those are the words of Dick Cheney to CBS Radio this afternoon. Our fifth story on the countdown. He was not talking about Gore or Franken. The vice president and the president, at this hour anyway, the only people left in the White House, perhaps even in Washington, who are willing to defend Attorney General Alberto Gonzales in public. And the president isn't even talking about it in public, steadfastly ignoring the clamor for an investigation or even impeachment of the AG. In the House, Democratic Congressman Jay Inslee is sponsoring a resolution to the Judiciary Committee to commence impeachment proceedings post-haste. Republican Congressman Chris Shays of Connecticut saying the Attorney General would, quote, do us all a favor if he stepped down. And in the Senate, the ranking Republican on the Judiciary Committee there, Arlen Specter, says he was waiting, at least until he heard from the White House today, to see if Mr. Gonzales lied to Congress. He says the White House will issue a letter by noon tomorrow addressing the discrepancies. The chairman of that committee, Senator Leahy, giving Gonzales till Friday to clear up discrepancies, inconsistencies in his report, but stopping short of supporting a perjury investigation if he does not correct his testimony. 4 other Democrats on that committee, though, have already asked the Solicitor General for such an inquiry into that testimony, a call echoed in and amplified by a New York Times editorial this weekend, quoting, Solicitor General Paul Clement has a last chance to show that the Justice Department is still minimally functional by fulfilling that request. If that does not happen, the Times writes, Congress should impeach Mr. Gonzales. Any supporters of the Attorney General, excluding his boss and his boss's boss, are apparently invisible. Even Fox Noise couldn't find anyone to say anything good about him this weekend.
Both the president and the country are better served if the Attorney General is seen as a figure of probity and a figure of integrity and a figure of competence. And sadly, the current Attorney General is not seen as any of those things. And I think that it is a liability for the president, but more importantly, it's a liability for the United States of America.
The Attorney General, in my view, has at least lied to Congress and may have committed perjury.
We invited White House officials and Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee to defend Attorney General Gonzales. We had no takers.
What you call Britt Hume? Cue the crickets. I'm joined now by our own Jonathan Alter, senior editor for Newsweek magazine. Great, thanks for your time tonight, John.
Hi, Keith.
When even Fox News Sunday can't get someone to defend this man, even from the White House, is it not official that he is so many more times a liability than he's worth to this administration, no matter how good a friend he's been to the president in their many incarnations together?
Yes, Gonzo is Gonzo. It's just a matter of time. It could be this week. If it takes longer, it could go to impeachment. Because unlike impeaching the president or vice president, which is kind of a non-starter on Capitol Hill, there's considerable support for impeaching Gonzales if there isn't a formal investigation by the Justice Department. They only need a majority vote to impeach him on the House side. I don't think it'll come to that. I think he'll be forced to resign before that. You may recall that Dick Cheney's endorsement of Don Rumsfeld did not do Rumsfeld any good, and he was gone when he became enough of a liability, although it took an awful long time. And the same will happen eventually for Gonzales.
Would this explain Senator Leahy's treading carefully around the question of the perjury investigation, given that 4 of his fellow Democrats have already asked the Solicitor General for that kind of investigation, given this introduction of a House resolution for impeachment? If there's no revision or response by Gonzales by Friday, do you think Leahy has some sense that the goose is cooked here, and why go after it with more weaponry than is needed?
That may well be, and they're also waiting for this kind of last chance explanation. Gonzales's people leaked to the New York Times that he was talking about a different kind of surveillance program, a data mining program, and therefore hadn't technically lied to Congress, even though the head of the FBI, Bob Mueller, made it pretty clear that he had. So he's got sort of one more chance to prove that he didn't lie. The problem is they've got another star witness, a former Justice Department official now at Harvard named Jack Goldsmith, who's been invited to testify, and he clearly believes that there was serious disagreement about the terrorist surveillance program. That's the perjury question, Keith. Attorney General Gonzales said there was no disagreement within the Justice Department, and there are a lot of people who will tell you that there was much disagreement and that the Attorney General was not being truthful before Congress. And I think eventually he will pay the consequences for that.